need to instruct them and correct them.
Yeah.
That our expectation should be our kids need this instruction. They're going to need this correction. And so we're ready for it. It's so these little situations that come up, instead of dreading them, mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, or even youth pastor, who in a youth group and you're trying to create a culture, have the expectation they're going to need me to help them to see things and to frankly correct them. And when they mess up, and it doesn't mean we shame them. Again, it's not like you either ignore it or you humiliate them. Those aren't the only two options.
Yeah.
I would say it's neither one. It's you're noticing it, and then you start to help them notice it and to act appropriately in these situations.
Correcting behavior can be gentle and firm at the same time. But it can be correcting the behavior. And that is just biblical. It's not modern. It goes against modern parenting, techniques and philosophies, but it's biblical that we are to correct behavior. Proverbs 6:23 says this, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life." The reproofs of discipline are the way of life. Proverbs 22:6, Proverbs 23:13 through 14, Ephesians 6:1 and 4, Hebrews chapter 12, where it talks about the good of discipline. This is just biblical. Children, obey your parents. This is biblical. And so correcting selfish behavior is part of our task. And sometimes it's tough, especially I think as the kids get older and you want to maintain, good relationship with your kids. And yet sometimes what you have to do as a parent is you have to be the one that confronts the kid on their behavior.
Yeah.
And that just takes some courage on our part.
Yeah, which leads to the fourth point of consequences, because our kids have got to connect their behavior with consequences, because a true narcissist doesn't take responsibility for themselves. It's always someone else's fault. And so we don't want to protect our kids from the natural consequences of being someone who, if you're going to act this way, then people aren't going to want to be around you.
Yeah.
And not try to shield them from that and say, oh yeah, that's that person's problem. Oh yeah, it's your teacher. They're just super mean. It couldn't possibly be that your child was rude.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. And so you don't want to protect them from natural consequences. And of course, when they're in our home and younger, that's when we want to give consequences to them to teach them, when you act this way, pain will come. And I'm not just talking about spanking. Again, it's not like, you say the word pain and it's like, oh, she's advocating for spanking. This is not necessarily what I'm saying. It's that, hey, if you're going to act this way, then there's going to be consequences for it. I'm not just going to let it go, because you have got to learn this lesson. Or if you don't learn it now, you have a lifetime of pain in broken relationships because you don't know how to treat other people.
Yeah, our kids are going to learn this one way or another.
Yeah.
And here's where you connect it with point number one: good intentions are not enough. You may be well-intentioned and want to protect your kids from hurt and pain and suffering, and yet you will undermine their long-term development by doing this. So, step forward. Don't protect them from their own, the consequences of some of their own actions. Don't shield them. Don't enable them. Don't let them off the hook. Yeah. Okay. Number 5, we do want to recognize, hey, there are different practices that we use at different ages. So use age appropriate practices. So for younger kids, it is healthy to focus on the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to turn that sinful will. You're trying to habituate character. And that one of the ways that we do that is through repetition.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where, you know, you may be correcting the same thing again and again. You may be disciplining on the same issue. That's because you're trying to steer that will and set it off in the right trajectory.
Yes.
A trajectory of righteousness, holiness, goodness, right?
Yeah. And this, can I give some examples? I
course.
think this starts so young. So we're talking about, greeting. The scenario was on the airplane. So someone's saying hi to you. So I'm thinking about how when our kids are 1 and 2 years old, when you go in a place or you're in Target and someone says, "Oh, hi," the little baby's so cute. Little baby meaning 1 or 1.5, whatever. And you say to your kids, "Oh, say hi, say thank you. Oh, she just said your dress is so pretty. Say thank you." They can't even say thank you yet. But you're teaching them, "Oh, someone said something to you, so it's polite to respond back." You teach them to wave. "Oh, hi, Grandma." And give Grandma a huggy. When we see Grandma, we give her a hug. And so this is young when they don't even really know what's happening. But that's how early it starts. So then this just becomes normal. Now, like you said, there will be times where they're 5, 6, 7. They'll walk into Grandma's and blow right past her and forget to say. And so you're like, honey, you didn't say hi to Grandma. Come, or, "Oh, the store clerk just said hi to you, say hi back, And so,
Yeah.
this is, again, you have healthy expectations. This is a long journey, but it starts young and you just keep in this pattern of instructing them, teaching them how to do it.
Yeah, and you are training your kids to act the right way even when they don't feel it.
Absolutely.
And that is so good
Mm-hmm.
for healthy relationship in the future, because we know anyone who's in a marriage, in a close relationship, if you just act out of how you feel, you will destroy relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so you are doing something very good for your kid when you correct behavior and you teach them, I don't have to feel a certain way to act the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you teach them it. You're having a bad day. That's okay. We have bad days, or maybe the airplane situation. They're getting on the airplane. They're upset about something. They're going to school that morning. They're sad about something. But you're teaching them, you don't take that out on your teacher or your friend
Or your spouse.
or your spouse,
Or your children.
because that you don't get to do that. That's not fair to treat someone else that way. And so even if you're having a bad day, say hi to the grocer at Trader Joe's, because it's not that dude's fault you've had a bad day. So you can treat him kindly even if inside you're upset about something.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. And he doesn't deserve to be treated a certain way. The flight attendant doesn't deserve to be treated a certain way just because your feelings, because that human being has value and dignity, and we don't get to just take it out on them. And of course, this is the most difficult in your child's closest relationships. So that means, of course, mom and dad will get the brunt of a lot of their emotions. Their siblings, of course, we know in our marriage relationship, you and I mean, if we're going to take our bad mood out on anybody, it's usually each other first, and then it's the kids, because this is who we're with all the time.
And they're the safer relationships
Totally.
that do that.
So you have to learn, we can't do that. Of course, when we do, we apologize, because we will do it.
Yeah. And
then we have to make amends for it.
Yeah. And now with older kids, and now of course these are generalities, but with older kids, you're still addressing the behaviors. But then you also are talking through it. You also do want to explore, okay, what's what was going on kind of in your heart and mind when you did that. You want them to reflect on that because you also want to kind of plumb deeper,
Hmm.
dive deeper with them and to see what are the thoughts, what are the affections, the desires that are going on that maybe they can identify that are driving some of the behaviors.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that. And it doesn't mean you won't ever do that with a younger kid, but, your 3 or 4-year-old is not equipped to be able to plumb the depths of their heart.
No.
And so that's where you focus on behavior and habituation. But, yeah, when they're older, you don't set aside the behaviors, but then you do add, okay, what's going on? Maybe it's emotionally. What's going on intellectually? What are
Hmm.
you thinking,
Hmm.
when you do that? And
Yeah.
so, there's, age appropriate practices.